Welcome to this video. In today's video, we would look into check constraint. It's a very important constraint, okay, while we create a table. So what do we mean by check constraint? So check constraint is ideally, it will try to check for all the data what is entered in that column, and it will allow only a certain value. In other words, it ideally limits the value range in a particular cell for that particular column. Okay, and it will the expression what we would be creating for check constraint, it will give a boolean result, either true or false. If it's true, it will allow the database or that table to enter the data, else it will terminate the statement, it will not execute the SQL query. Okay, so now let's see the concept in this particular table. So we have created a table marks with subject ID, subject name, student ID, and marks. Okay. Now let us assume that the marks for all the subject cannot be less than 0 and should not be more than 100. For this example, let's assume this is the only rule what we have for that school. Okay. In that case, we would specify an expression stating that, okay, the marks should be greater than 0 and less than equals to greater than or equals to 0 and less than equals to 100. So every time the user enters some data into that table for that particular marks table column, it will check whether the condition is met, yes or no. If the condition is met, then definitely it will allow the table to enter the data. Otherwise, it will terminate. Let's check it, the concept in action. Right now, we don't have any constraint like that. So simply if I do insert into table marks, okay, subject ID, subject name, student ID, and marks. Okay, value. Okay, so I will just put 102 English. Okay, and I will give the student name as 11. We've seen in the previous video. Marks as, it might be a typo error. Okay, so right now if I do this, okay, so it's giving an error. Let's check what, oh, sorry, syntax error. Okay, okay. Now let's check. Okay, okay. So we see that we have two subjects or two yeah, subject IDs for the same student ended by mistake as 1000. Okay, so if that's the case, which is wrong, correct? Now let's drop the table right now because we want to add a new constraint. Okay, so this remains same, not null. It should not be null. I will add a constraint which we have seen in our previous videos as well. Constraint name. So check is the prefix which we would use, marks. Okay, so it's a check constraint, and what would be our equation or expression? We would say that marks should not be should be greater than equals to 0 and marks should be less than equals to 100. Okay, so once we do this, we are adding a constraint, check constraint, which will check for the value greater than 0 and less than 100. Now let's create this table. Okay, now let's try to add this particular data, which in previous case it got added. Okay, okay, now you could see that the constant kicks in and it gives an error stating that the insert statement conflicts with the check constraint ck marks which we have added, correct? So once you do this, you have to understand that what it's wrong. Okay, so the check constraint cannot be, the mark should not be less than 0 and should not be greater than 100. Okay, so we come here, we check the value. Okay, it's 99. Fine, it was a typo error. So they will correct it, and as soon as you click on this, it got added. Let's check. Okay, so it got added with this value. So I guess this check constraint is very important if you try to limit a value. It might be that in this case, it's we are limiting the marks. In some case, it might be that you are trying to limit the date for a particular transaction. It should not be less than a particular date or particular range of dates. It's ideally ensure that there is no typo or there is no intentionally data is not entered in a wrong way. Okay, so with this, we end up this video. Thank you for watching this video.